college Democrats at the University of Massachusetts at Amherst were apparently plotting pretty openly to sink the campaign of progressive candidate Alex Morse. He is running in Massachusetts's first congressional district, and he's running against Richard Neal, the incumbent Democrat who's the chair of the House Ways and Means Committee, someone who has a pretty powerful position. Now, their plot actually came to fruition in the form of a letter, which we've been talking about over the last several days. The letter, as The Intercept reports, sent 3 weeks before his primary challenge to Representative Richard Neal, informed Morse that he was no longer welcome at college Democratic events, alleging he used such opportunities to socialize with students and later connect with them on social media in ways that made them feel uncomfortable. Now, the way that this was reported made it seem as though he was engaging in some sort of predatory activity, going to like student organizations with the intention of picking people up. But that is not what happened. In fact, after he released his statement indicating that he had only attended one event, the college Democrats did release a statement on Wednesday following what Morse said. The statewide college Democrats chapter clarified that he had in fact only attended a single event during the course of his campaign. It was after that event in October of 2019 that the leadership of UMass Amherst, that chapter, began to talk about leaking a story damaging to Morse. So The Intercept was able to obtain the chat logs, and they published screenshots of some of those chat logs in their story. So please make sure you check that out in its full context at The Intercept, but I'll give you the highlights right now. So for instance, Timothy Ennis, we've talked about him before, the chief strategist for the UMass Amherst College Democrats, admitted in the chat that he was a Neal stan, which means like a hardcore fan of Richard Neal, and said he felt conflicted about involving the chapter of the college Democrats in a future attack on Morse. But then he said in the chats, "But I need a job. Neal will give me an internship." Ooh. I mean, how disgusting is that? It's just so unbelievably gross. And okay, this is a small point, but I have to make it. What kind of person / college student refers to themselves as a Richard Neal stan? Like, what excites you about Richard Neal? The fact that he destroyed legislation that would end surprise medical billing? Does that get you excited? What a terrible person. Anyway, go ahead, Cenk.
Yeah, so first of all, let me just double down on that. These are really pathetic careerists, and you can tell apparently from an early age because Richard Neal takes more corporate PAC money than anyone in Congress, not just any Democrat, any Republican. He makes Republicans look non-corrupt, and so if somebody sees that and they're like, "Oh my God, I am young and ambitious and idealist, and I think taking as much corporate PAC money as possible and serving corporations for the rest of your life as their water boy is so great. So I will try to ruin someone else's career by lying about them with homophobic smears." If that's your goal, holy cow, wow. And by the way, look, man, you go to any establishment Democrat, internship program, it is filled with people who are like, "I can't wait to get into a good school, and then I'm gonna serve whichever master tells me that can improve my status and power. Status and power, mommy and daddy told me that's what's really important." Okay, now, look, the biggest part of this story by far is, now it's completely and utterly debunked, this story. And it is filled with homophobic references about how Morse was a predator, right? Of young boys. This is just disgusting, right?
Yeah, it taps
into
any more tropes.
Homophobic than this. And so, number one, Richard Neal has encouraged this. I mean, look, he potentially bribed them to begin with. He gave $1,000 to this group, maybe $2,000 now, according to the latest reporting. But no question, he gave this group money. Why is a congressman giving college Democrats money? What a weird thing. Number two, when they came out, he's like, "Oh, I'm so concerned about their well-being." Now we see the text messages. They tried to get him to do something inappropriate. They failed. And so then now Richard Neal I'm sorry, Neal comes around and goes, oh my God, these poor abused students. Hey, look, so Rich, is the Boston Globe, the press, are they gonna ask, will Richard Neal denounce this homophobic attack against Alex Morse, his Democratic opponent? Or is he comfortable with this homophobic attack? And so far, he looks super comfortable with it.
Oh, he loves it.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that comes as a big shock, but press, do your job. Everybody ran those articles on Alex Morse. So far, very, very few of them have retracted, even though it is clearly debunked now.
I want to give you more details because these students actually went further. It gets worse. They tried to engage in like this honeypot method of getting Morse to say inappropriate things via private messages. And Morse did not take the bait because Morse is a good person. Like you can tell, he goes to this College Democrats event. He participates on this panel. And one of the students he was on a panel with starts messaging him. And so I want to get to those details in a second. First, let me just note though, that Timothy Ennis, who is the Richard Neal stan, was apparently in Richard Neal's class at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, where he teaches journalism. Okay, so let me give you more details.
We're talking about
fascinating
journalism, and Richard Neal is teaching journalism.
Yeah. I mean, it's the perfect.
Why doesn't he teach an anti-corruption class on top just to complete the irony?
I know. So as The Intercept reports, leaders of the College Democrats group went beyond merely plans to leak. They also explicitly discussed how they could find Morse's dating profiles and then lead him into saying something incriminating that would then damage his campaign, okay? So the group's leaders did not get what they were looking for, but they thought, you know what, maybe we have enough. Maybe we have enough here. I don't think that they did. I think that this is ridiculous, but let me give you those details. On October 5th, Morse attended a College Democrats event at a local community college. Morse sat on a panel with Abramson. So that's Andrew Abramson. He's one of the members of College Democrats. He's on this panel. After the event, Morse reached out to Abramson on Instagram to say it was a pleasure meeting. The two had previously matched on Tinder, and as said in the chats, but had never met up. To match on Tinder means both parties must swipe in the same direction in order to begin a conversation. So as I had mentioned when we talked about this story earlier, it's a two-way street. Painting Morse as some sort of harasser who's going after students on dating profiles, it just doesn't make sense at all. If you know how these dating profiles work, you'd know that it's a two-way street. Now let's take a look at the screenshot of the chat log where you can see exactly how it went down. So not overt, but it's very clear he's not talking to me for no reason. Okay, so Alex Morse asks or tells him it was a pleasure being on that panel. And Andrew responds with, thank you, good to see you too. And all he said was, how's the rest of your weekend? And the response from Abramson was pretty good. I went home last night to surprise my mom for her birthday. How about you? All right, that is like the most innocent conversation ever. But what I also thought was interesting was that Abramson in the chat to other College Democrats was like, how do you like me? Also don't mind me totally leading him on. So that's what the students said to other students. And I think what he's referring to there is like the blushing emoji face. I don't know. Anyway, so the conversation ends with Morse saying, oh, that's nice. How was that? I had an event to go to last night to speak, then had a wine tasting party at a friend's house. Now I'm in North Adams about to march in a parade. So Ennis thought, and he said this in the chats, this will sink his campaign. And that's what they plan to use against him. And here is a meme that Ennis was also sharing in this chat. So it's a screenshot from a Simpsons episode where police, so-called horny police, are arresting Krusty the Clown. Me giving this story to Politico because they tried to get Politico to report on this initially. So Ennis in the chats quipped that perhaps he should leak the information by including it in a paper for Neal's class. It's just so disgusting. Like, this whole thing is gross. And there was a college student last night on Twitter who was like, the thing that really bothers me about this is how quick people are to dismiss that some students felt uncomfortable. And my answer to that college student and any other college student who feels that way is, no, the problem is people weren't quick enough to dismiss it. They weren't quick enough, okay? There is no, like, the narcissistic nature of that statement, okay? If this particular student, I mean, they had some account under a pseudonym or whatever, but if this particular student genuinely felt that Morse's behavior was so bad that it caused discomfort, that is that student's problem. There's no criminal activity happening here. There's no unethical activity happening here. Nothing. Morse did nothing wrong. The only people who did anything wrong here were a group of students who decided to try to destroy someone's political campaign, but also overall reputation, just so they can increase their chances of political job prospects in the future. That's what happened. Those people are wrong.
I'm gonna go further. Look, this is, I've never seen a clearer case of a smear job. It's not about making the students like, oh, what are you talking about? The student, it's debunked, it's uncovered. We just showed you the students were talking about trying to end his political career on things he did not do. I mean, you just saw the entirety of the conversation. I'm at a parade, and how's your mom is not flirting. If that's Alex Morse flirting, he sucks at it. They tried to get him and they couldn't. And we have the messages of them saying this is a political attack against him. How stupid, look, guys, honestly, so-called progressives that go along with that are useful idiots for the establishment and the right wing. And they do this against every progressive. On Cori Bush, they attacked her for, she has 3 evictions and she supported BDS and whatever smears they could throw at her, etc. Right? As if that was going to work in her district. They're so dumb. For Jamal Bowman, did you know he got arrested? Leaving out that it was false arrests. Okay, for Shad Buttar, by the way, same kind of like, oh my God, did you know that he once fired someone who, or did not even fire, but to ask someone to do their job? Oh my God, he asked someone to do their job. Oh my God. Yeah. And he goes on and on and on. Every time a very, very small group of stupid leftists step up and they're like, yeah, we should just immediately politically assassinate our own people to help Republicans and to help establishment corporate Democrats. You are a useful idiot if you do that, especially in this case. When it's already, how much clearer do I have to be? Read the goddamn stories, it's debunked. We are gonna go in the opposite direction. When I say we, in this case, I mean me and the PAC I just started this week. It's called Rebellion PAC, rebellionpac.com. But here, first of all, you guys do it on your own. When we do these stories, we are unabashed. We tell you what our perspective is. And my perspective is I'm a progressive. So Alex Morse for Congress.com. My perspective is that I hate homophobic attacks. My perspective is that corporate Democrats are corrupt. And this is an excellent example of their corruption. So Alex Morse for Congress.com, go contribute to him directly. Rebellion PAC right now, I'm announcing right now, it's our first donation ever. We're gonna max out to Alex Morse. So this is how we roll. While others are just, oh my God, I wonder what we should do. Let's think about how helping Alex or defending Alex against an obvious smear might affect our careers, right? No, that's the whole point of Rebellion PAC. We're not interested in any of that. We're interested in helping progressives no matter what. We're maxing out to Alex Morse, and proudly so, okay? Now, one more thing though that's important about the press aspect of this. So these clowns took this non-story to a bunch of outlets, including Politico, who did not run it. So good, credit to them, I'm happy to give them credit. But as soon as the Daily Collegian ran it, they're like, oh, good enough. We wanted to smear them, and we just didn't want our fingerprints on it. And so as long as any rando blog or whoever runs it, good enough for Politico and everyone else. Let's all smear Alex Morse all at the same time. Where's your retractions? Where's your follow-up article saying Alex Morse was smeared? He didn't do it. His opponent is the scumbag who gave $1,000 to these kids. And apparently, by the way, look at the irony of that. They tried to pretend that Alex Morse was luring the kids in. In reality, Richard Neal is luring the kids in with, here's $1,000 and maybe an internship, and maybe you could help your career. Come here, kids, come here. Now all you gotta do is smear Alex Morse. And if Richard Neal does not agree that that's what happened, why don't you denounce these attacks? Why don't you denounce the homophobic attacks against your Democratic opponent? He doesn't do it because he loves it. He was part and parcel of it. Give money to Alex Morse, volunteer for Alex Morse, and whatever you do, you vote. It's only a couple of weeks away. If you're in that district, get everybody and their uncle out there to vote for Alex Morse. Don't let them get away with these hatchet jobs.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. I really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.